Dennis had a chance to speak or is speaking with the former Senator Jeff Flake tonight. Dennis.
Yeah, and I want to bring in the senator right now. Obviously, he has been a longtime critic of the president going all the way back to 2016. He has been critical of that. And Senator, if you're there, if you can hear me, I want to start with this question right now. What you saw today, it's got to be playing out like your worst nightmares right now of where this presidency could have ended up, right?
It is. I can't say that I'm surprised at where the president has gone, although there's no way I would have expected what happened today. But the president has had these tendencies, and he's used this rhetoric that many of us have said incites violence, and it happened today. And it's shameful on the president's part.
And do you think the president is culpable? Do you think he should be held accountable for these actions today?
Well, certainly. The president incited violence. Now, the president has already been held accountable for the way he has governed. He was beaten in November, and here's part of the problem. The president has never accepted that defeat, which many of us expected. But what is worse is many of his supporters haven't either, when they know better, and that includes many from Arizona. The state party and others have continued with this fiction that there was widespread voter fraud, and that plays into this. And that's just shameful that they continue to go on like this. The president lost an election. He needs to accept it, and elected officials need to assure that their constituents know that they know that the president lost the election.
Yeah, and I was going to, follow up with something similar to that, because what we're hearing a lot from Republicans, they're condemning the violence. And again, as I've said this earlier tonight, that's the easy part. I think most rational people are going to condemn the violence in this part, but they're not condemning or criticizing the president. You just heard, Debbie Lesko, say that she still supports a lot of what the president stands for. What would you like to see from some of your former colleagues in the Senate, in the House, and here in Arizona? What would you like to see from them tonight?
Oh, it's simple. To acknowledge reality. The president lost the election. Now, oftentimes your candidate doesn't win. My candidate has not always won, obviously. But you accept that. That's what we do in a representative democracy. And they talk about, having the courage to stand for the president. Well, the real courage comes to stand for the truth. And if your constituents believe otherwise, you don't lead them to believe falsehoods like the president is spouting. And that's what courage is. And I would tell you that there is not one representative, not one elected official in Arizona who truly believes that the president won in a landslide, yet they continue to back the president in these falsehoods. And that's wrong, and that ought to stop.
And final question, we got about 30 seconds left. I do want to ask you, where do we go from here? Is this the kind of event that you could see a curtailing, people walk back from some of this rhetoric, or do you see this kind of tension moving forward in the coming year and years after?
I hope that this is the bottom. I've thought that we've reached the bottom before, but I sure hope this is it. It was nice to see a couple of the senators, a couple of the representatives who had previously backed these protests and these challenges say that they're not going to do it. I hope many others do as well. But Joe Biden will be inaugurated as president on January 20th. I hope after that we have government that is civil, steady, and boring. And that would be good for all of us.
Yeah, a return to boring politics sure would be a nice break from the past 4 or 5 years here in the country. Former Senator Jeff Flake, thank you very much for joining us here on Arizona's Family. I want to toss it back to Brandon in the studio.